Well, we are well over the halfway point now in this season of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. We trade the tight and twisty and undulating sections of Barber Motorsports Park and just pack up our bags and head to Fontana. This is going to be Auto Club Speedway for round number 7 next. Well, welcome back to Fontana, California. Auto Club Speedway plays host to round number 7 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. I am Connery Maddock. Joining me in the commentary booth today will be the one, the only, Jack Styles. Qualifying is just about to get itself all done and in the books. In fact, that time is around about now. So as the drivers try to get themselves to the grid behind your iRacing Ford Mustang pace car, just going to bring Jack Styles into the conversation here. It's Fontana, lots of room to race, quite a few bumps, but overall it's going to be fantastic fighting at 200 plus miles an hour.
It's completely different to what we saw last week at Barber Motorsport Park. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Fontana is always one of these tracks that throws up a few surprises. They have had caution-free races so far this week. Hopefully we might see the same tonight. And smaller grid for your enjoyment today, only 14 cars. So but at the moment, everyone is only covered by about half a second. So it's going to be a tight and close race. Couple of names missing that we would usually see here on a Friday night for Friday Night Prime Time. No Austin Espartee, no Christian Steele. So it just looks as though a few people might be able to score valuable points towards the championship that those big names won't be able to.
Yeah, speaking of that championship though, currently in the overall points, you've got Michele Constantini currently leading that one with 6 races done with 1,277 points. Then you've got Henry Bennett. Then you've got Austin Espartee, who is not in attendance for this race. Then you've got Simon Brian, Andrew Kinsella, Liam Quinn, John Downing, Matthew Ugolotti, George Nujox, and Ricky Gerhardt, taking you down to P number 10 in the point standings there. So your current points leader starting P number 3 in that Vortex Sim Racing car on the second row. And now is a good as time as any to take you down this 14-car starting grid. Your front row will consist of pole position sitter Henry Bennett in that number 1 machine. You've got George Nujox as well on that front row, also a representative of that Vortex Sim Racing team. Michele Constantini, points leader, sitting in third. We'll have stuff in the second row, and joining him will be Liam Quinn, P number 4 in that number 3 machine. Behind them, you've got Bradley Smith, and you've got the car of Marco Aurelio Brazil. You've also got Timo Ronco, Vic Cordell bringing things down to P number 8. Tim Doyle only qualifies P number 9 after winning the strength of field race earlier on this week. You've also got Pierre Bourdon starting P number 10, and you've got Dominic Lemuski, P number 11. Ryan Thompson gets himself started at P number 12. Ricky Gerhardt, P number 13. And the last car on the grid actually just getting an issue coming out of pit lane there for Alessandro Dallara. So hopefully he can catch up to the back of the field once we get this green flag out there. But small field, but I don't think that's going to necessarily mean we'll see, bad racing. I think it's just all about these drivers with how close they are in the qualifying.
Small grids can sometimes provide better racing because it means that it doesn't get interrupted as often. There's less people to hit almost, Connery. So it just means that these guys are going to be able to race a lot closer and not have to worry about maybe slower traffic as well. Lights are off on the pace car, which means 1 pace lap here at Autocross Speedway, and we are ready for 100 laps of racing around this fantastic oval.
Yeah, but you will. Once that pace car dives in, we'll have the green flag and 100 laps of racing to commence. So just patience now on part of your field. Henry Bennett does leave them waiting for a fraction of a second, but we will go racing here at Fontana. Green flag in the air as Henry Bennett heads his way across the line as the 2 Vortex teammates battle for P number 2.
Yeah, everyone nice off to a nice clean start. No incidents so far. Henry Bennett's got a nice commanding lead into turn number 1. Team Vortex as well. They're going to be going side by side through 1 with Michele Constantini and George Newcastle. They're going to get a little bit closer. Michele kind of look up to the high line, but looks as though he might have got the move done. Bit of a challenge as well from behind from Liam Quinn. Looking like they're trying to go 3 wide coming into turn number 2, or turn number 3, sorry. Not going to be able to get it done. So at the moment, it looks as though Liam Quinn is holding that high line, but the low line is definitely going to be favourable here. Everyone looking like they're running a little bit lower down there.
Yeah, side by side for the race lead will go Michele Constantini, making the move early down towards the inside at turn number 1, and will in fact get that pass complete. Henry Bennett's just going to slot in behind just for now, look for the run off the corner, and perhaps look for the pass back coming down in towards turn number 3. So slingshot pass for Constantini, slingshot back pass now for Henry Bennett as they try to work together to break away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Michele Constantini just looking though he's trying to challenge Henry Bennett. It's very on in this race. He's got to remember he's got a challenge from behind in the form of Bradley Smith, a name we're not used to in the form of Friday Night Prime Time. They're going to go 3 wide into turn number 1. Just looks as though Michele and Henry Bennett are going to try and hold that high line, but Bradley Smith has managed to get his way up into the lead. He is now leading Friday Prime Time after in what looks like his debut. Michele Constantini is not going to let him hold that. He's looking high, and it looks as though he might get the run around the outside.
He'll try it, have to run about that middle lane, just creeping down into the second lane, but here comes his teammate of George Newjox now. Newjox trying to make his way back through the field after starting P number 2. Is in P number 2, will go for the race lead around the outside, coming down into what's turn number 1 as they get so close there on the entry to the corner, but both of them survive. So 2x2 P1, 2x2 P number 3 as well, as these guys, they're just absolutely just scrapping it out now. That draft lock is going to keep these guys together.
George Newcastle has managed to make his way to the lead. He looks as though he's going to stick with that highlight. Bradley Smith is going to try to come back on the load. Tim Doyle as well, making his way up through the field. He's now into 4th. He's now trying to go 3 wide with the 2 Vortex Sim Racing drivers to try and get his way up into 2nd. This is great pack racing we're seeing so far. Tim Doyle has managed to wake up to 6 places now where he started. We've only done 4 laps so far, Connery. Going to go 3 wide into turn number 1 once again, and just looks as though Tim Doyle is making his way through the pack and making it way strong. Henry Bennett as well. He's had a poor start, and he's going to be looking to get back some of the positions that he's already lost.
He will, as things are still looking pretty vicious right now in the battle for P number 2. Constantini drifts up the track slightly. Tim Doyle a little bit squarely off the corner, but here comes the run from Newjox now in the number 6. Around the outside, it has to be coming down in towards turn number 1. And these guys, they're not really concerned about just running single file. They want to scrap it out, try and slingshot past each other, try and break this front pack away. But the thing is, they're not really doing that. There was an initial breakaway of about 4 or 5 cars at the front just a couple of laps ago, but now the rest of the drivers through your mid-pack have now locked themselves onto the back of this leading pack.
Yeah, it just looks as though we've got what looks like a 12-car pack at the moment, and 2 cars that have dropped off so far are Dominic Lukanovsky and Alessandro Dallara. Both aren't able to keep up. Ryan Johnson as well, but we've got 3 wide back towards the front. It's looking like it's going to be between Bradley Smith, Michele Constantini and George Newcastle. Newcastle hasn't been able to make it work. Tim Doyle has managed to wake his way up into 3rd now. Henry Bennett as well is going to be challenging Newcastle. But look at this. Tim Doyle is actually going to get held up behind Bradley Smith. That slingshots Michele Constantini back into the lead. But Bradley Smith making that low line really work in that number 10 machine. And he's just going to be leaving Michele for dead. These guys are swapping positions every single corner. And we can't even keep up with it. They're going to go 3 wide again into turn number 1.
These guys don't care. There are only 14 cars out there on track as Constantini almost completely ripped off his front wing on the back of Bradley Smith there, but managed to dive out of the way. Tim Doyle also good heads-up driving for him, as yes, that was the wobble as they'll go side by side for the race lead once again. Bradley Smith having to hang it down there on that inside, and his car looks like it's performing very, very well on that inside line despite the bumps coming down through 3 and 4. He's got that car set up to run that line, and it runs it well.
Yeah, Newcastle as well is just going to be looking high. Michele Constantini using that draft 3 wide once again. He's going to make the quick move down onto the low line. Bradley Smith is going to be stuck in the middle. At the moment, Newcastle, that high line's just not working for him. The low line is so much faster here at Auto Club. But at the moment, Bradley Smith as well, he's just ran the middle of that turn number 1 and 2. Made it work really well. Tim Doyle as well. Vic Cloudell has managed to get his way up into 5th position now, and he's slowly looking to get his way a bit further forward in the pack.
A little bit of a pinch there from Bradley Smith, your current race leader, as the two Vortex teammates head away almost briefly side by side across the line, as things are going to calm down just a little bit right now, as Constantini's going to have to look towards the outside, try and get the maximum entry speed, maximum speed through the apex of the corner, but Bradley Smith, that car is just working so well in that low line. There's not much Constantini or any driver behind can do about it. Who's still further back through the field. Vic Cordell, Pierre Bourdon. This is battle for P number 5 out there on circuit. Cordell trying to run that low line, but not being able to run it as well as perhaps some of your leaders. Is actually Pierre Bourdon will get himself past Tim Doyle there, as Tim Doyle had a catastrophic amount of understeer coming through 3 and 4, as they'll try to go side by side for the race lead once again, but Smith's car is just absolutely unstoppable on that low line. He can't rest in his laurels, though. That can change as Nujox gets a little bit slow off of turn number 2, but returning back to the point as Pierre Bourdon now P number 3. Bradley Smith, he has to be very, very careful. The tyres, might start to go away from him, putting more load through the tyres, holding that low line. Of course, that low line's also going to heat up a little bit as well, as Constantini does have the run, looks towards the inside, but instead tucked right beneath that rear wing, looking for the outside, but the outside just hasn't been working.
Yeah, it also looks as though George Newcastle is looking down the inside of Pierre Bourdon. He might be able to get it work, but Newcastle hasn't looked like he's very comfortable with that car so far today, Connery. He has been the slower of the two Vortex drivers, and it's almost like he's struggling for a little bit of grip. Managed to get the move done on Pierre Bourdon now. He's going to move his way back up to P number 3. Tim Doyle as well is going to try and slingshot himself around the outside to get past Pierre Bourdon for P number 4. He's already managed to get his way past Vic Cordell on this lap as well. Tim Doyle is going to be looking high. He just looks as though he might get boxed in by George there in 3rd, but actually Pierre Bourdon using that low line to his advantage and getting 3rd. Tim Doyle trying to come through the middle, almost contact between himself and George Newcastle, and here comes Vic Cordell. We're going to go 3 wide, almost 4 wide down into turn number 3, and just look at that. Vic Cordell, that low line is definitely working here today.
It is absolutely brilliant racing in this second pack. Now, the front 2 cars of Smith and Constantini have broken themselves away, and now can they continue to do so, or will the second pack drag itself back up to the front as Doyle and who was that? That was Nujox, so close in towards turn number 1. Nujox going to come up the track here. He's going to lose all momentum since he has to lift to prevent himself from running into the side of Tim Doyle, but man, those two were close into one.
And here comes Ricky Gerhardt as well. He's slowly making his way up the pack, and I can't really keep up with how many people are changing positions constantly, but Bradley Smith as well looks like he's managed to get a little bit of a gap over Michele Constantini now. It's only around 2-3 tenths at the moment, but that is good. It's 4 tenths actually, 4.5 tenths now. Tim Doyle as well managed to got a little bit of a gap over George Newjox. So everyone at the moment looking like they're starting to settle down into a rhythm. Ricky Gerhardt has managed to get his way past Vic Cordell in 1 and 2, and Pierre Bourdon is going to look like he's trying to do the same on the run down into 3 and 4.
Definitely does so. Pierre Bourdon inside liner has to be to try and get past Cordell, but he's going to suffer from a little bit of the dirty air from 2 cars further in front there that was running on his line. So Cordell's going to get a good run out of the corner here, potentially challenging Ricky Gerhardt down towards turn number 1 for the 5th place position out there on the banked ovals. Cordell around the outside, and I think Gerhardt's going to get trapped in the dirty air of Nujox ahead. So that is an easy pass there around the outside for Cordell. And now he has to be thinking, okay, what do I do about Nujox? And then further ahead, what do I do to try and catch those leading 3?
I mean, these tyres that all these guys are going to be running on are 16 laps old, and it's 16 laps of green flag running as well, as Cordill's going to look high around George Newjocks, and I think he might have moved on because Newjocks hasn't been as quick, and Cordill has been making his way up the field very quickly, and same with Ricky Gerhardt as well. He's not too far behind. They're going to get very close to 1 and 2, and in fact there's contact. Will caution fly on the track at the moment? We're going to stay green. Newjock stays running, but Cordill is high into the wall off the exit of 2, but he's carried on rolling. I think if he can get himself off the track, we're going to stay green with this one. So the race survives, and Bradley Smith still leads by 8/10 of a second now over Tim Doyle, who's managed to get his way past Michele Constantini.
There's the replay up on screen. I think you'll see the car of Newjocks just drift up the track a little bit, tags the rear end of Cordell there, and Cordell does well to sort of keep it into the wall there, because if he came back across the racing circuit, then he could have collected a couple of others in that incident. So he will stay green here on lap number 18 of 100, and well, if this goes green all the way for at least this first stint, we'll see first pit stops heading towards the late 30th lap, so around about lap 37, lap 38 is when you'll start to see drivers come down on towards the lane. But you know, as a result of the fuel mileage here, the pit windows are quite open though, so if this goes green all the way for the 100 laps, we'll see 2 scheduled stops, but there could be some variation on when those might come for different drivers.
I think most drivers will be planning on is Pierre Bourdon is actually going to have a look for a move on Liam Quinn, in fact. So Liam Quinn has managed to get his way past, and then Pierre Bourdon is now going to make his way back past. So, but going back to what you were saying, Connor, about fuel strategy, these guys really need to be careful, and I have a feeling some people may be thinking about the longer race, and the fact that we've already seen 20 laps go green, that's 20% of the race has gone green so far. I actually feel like this could be a big section of green. They need to be planning for 2 stops. You use that first caution if we get one to get that first stop done. That could then influence the second strategy. You don't want to be leaving it very late on in the race. I would say come down into the box around lap 80 and run a very short second stint.
Okay, that's the plan. Well, Jack Stiles' recommended plan for your second stops, but side by side for P number 5 right now, Liam Quinn inside, Pierre Bourdon having to go the long way around once again. We've seen him try this on so many occasions, but it doesn't seem like that car's just hooked up, and he's going to lose so much momentum off of the corner there. Will recover a bit of it by virtue of being the high line and coming down off the corner. Will recover some straight line speed over Quinn, but now you've got Henry Bennett behind, winner of the first strength of field race here this week. Hasn't really been performing all that well in these broadcasted races. He was pole position in qualifying. He's currently running 7th.
I think he might be fuel saving, or maybe he's struggling as well, because Liam Quinn isn't too far ahead. He's still having that bit of a battle with Pierre Bourdon. Although Henry Bennett isn't as low as he was. He has made a couple of positions back up, I think, but he's not having the day he wants. Maybe he's just waiting for that later on in the race. We saw him come back, or we've seen him come back before, and I think he might do it again. It's side by side into turn 3 and 4, and Liam Quinn is going to hold that line on Pierre Bourdon and leave him in the clutches of Henry Bennett. But again, Henry Bennett, he might be saving fuel and just waiting for that chance to get back up towards the front. He doesn't want to leave it too long because the leaders are starting to get away. Tim Doyle, in fact, is closing the gap by the looks of it on Bradley Smith, and Ricky Gerhardt is actually closing onto Michele Constantini.
Yeah, 100th of a second went the way of Tim Doyle. That last time by doesn't seem like much, but the thing is, with the short lap times here, that's you know, considerable margin in terms of the percentage of lap time you're gaining. So Tim Doyle just has to work away at that gap right now. Battle for P number 5 still going on. Bourdon has just briefly got himself past Liam Quinn there, but Quinn's going to battle off of the high line off of turn number 4, and Bourdon's not going to fight that one. He's going to back out of it. But the thing is, this has put him under threat now from Henry Bennett. Pole position sitter earlier on in this event, dropped himself back after that very, very frantic start with all of your top 8 cars all fighting for position, going 3 wide down into these corners, but it's going to be at least 2 wide here in towards turn number 3. Bourdon not really getting all that aggressive. He's just biding his time right now as Henry Bennett got past 2 cars in just the last lap or so, but Quinn's going to battle back on the inside off of turn number 4. These guys just trading positions at this point, trying to see if they can work a little bit of the slipstream shenanigans to try and get themselves back up to Ricky Gerhardt off P number 4. I'm just going to have a quick look at their lap times. They are losing time right now running the way they are compared to Ricky Gerhardt. So Henry Bennett's going to go for this move down the inside once again. And it's kind of hard to tell sometimes whether you're actually slowing yourself down by running side by side or you're gaining time by slingshotting. It's an art in these IndyCars, isn't it, Jeff?
It definitely is an art, and the same thing with drafting. We see this somewhere at Le Mans, maybe with fuel saving, where teammates might be drafting one another to save fuel, and I think these guys are going to try and do it again. Liam Quinn and Henry Bennett might be doing a similar thing. That can also help slingshot them back up towards the likes of Michele Constantini and Ricky Gerhardt. Still in a battle with for P3. We'll keep you updated on that one as it unfolds, but they have left Pierre Bourdon behind a little bit. And it just looks as though Liam Quinn and Henry Bennett are swapping positions maybe to get themselves up towards that front pack and recover some time that they've already lost in this race.
Constantini, Gerhardt P number 3, P number 4. Constantini started in that P number 3, but Ricky Gerhardt qualified P13. So that is a net gain right now for Ricky of +9 positions. So that is, kind of indicative to what we saw happen at the start with so many drivers, so many cars just scrapping it out for every single position. That allows more opportunistic drivers at the back of the field to try and get their way through, use the fighting drivers as a bit of a pick to try and get multiple drivers at once. But it's just a 1v1 right now between Gerhardt and Constantini. But they are just taking a rather calm approach to things at the moment, as the other battle, Liam Quinn, Henry Bennett, that one's still going on, trying to slingshot themselves to try and break the gap to Pierre Bourdon. You've also got drivers further back through the field that we have to consider as well. You've got Timo Ronco, you've got George Nujox, which has dropped back through the course of this race, was P number 2 in qualifying, dropped down into P number 9, and I think he's got a little bit of damage to that car as well that he has to be concerned about. You've got Ryan Thompson, P number 10. You've got the likes of Alessandro Dallara, which will come across the line, P number 11, who had that interesting start, shall we say, because he didn't get off of pit lane before the rest of the drivers, got themselves to middle of the back straight.
I think he's just taking it very cautiously. He doesn't want to get involved in any incidents as Henry Bennett looks for a move on the inside into the 3 and 4 of Liam Quinn, gets the move done nice and cleanly. But Dallara has been running around at the back, and in fact, Henry Bennett, he's slow off of 4. He must have got a little bit loose or something because he backed out of that, and Liam Quinn has just driven off into the distance now, put a little bit of a gap. But Dallara, he's having a nice, relaxing day so far. Currently down in P number 11. George Nujox as well, he's someone we haven't talked about for quite a while. He's dropped back into P9 now. And one name who's made his way back up the grid a little bit is, might have a bit of trouble pronouncing this one, is Timu Ronco, I think it is.
Yep, those umlauts will just, confuse English speakers. He's absolutely finished. So maybe or maybe not. They're called umlauts above the U's in Finnish. They certainly are in German. But looking at the battles out there on track, Bourdon versus Ronco. In fact, Ronco has to go around the outside for the number 12 machine. Will get the momentum off the corner as there's contact off of 2. Bourdon, huge incident with Nujox behind. First yellow of the day.
Just looks as though, looking at that incident, the incident that happened ahead, Nujox was the unlucky passenger in that one. He had nowhere to go to avoid Pierre Bourdon. But Pierre Bourdon as well, I would say maybe he moved up a little bit too early. Just didn't see the car on his outside. It could have been a bit of a blind spot as well when he started moving. So I would put it down to a racing incident, but Pierre Bourdon, I think his day is over. Same with Nujox. Heavy damage to both of those cars, and it's going to crunch all the field back up and make the rest of this race extremely exciting. Pit stops as well. Start of the pit window.
Yeah, you see Bourdon, he just came all the way up the track, just straight into the side, and you all of a sudden see, the car of Nujox there. Just absolutely nothing he could have done in that one. An absolute passenger. But looking at the cars out there on circuit right now, at least on the live pictures, actually pit lane wasn't open that last time by. It will be open once they get themselves through turn number 4. I expect everyone, and I mean everyone, to come down on towards the lane. No point in staying out on 30-something lap old tyres, as Bradley Smith does make his intentions clear. No dummy shenanigans going on here. Tim Doyle follow him in. Constantini, Gerhardt, Quinn, Bennett, pretty much everyone except the car that stayed out there. That was Marco Brazil, but the thing is, he's laps down. He can just stay out, try and get his lap back there. As Doyle and Smith, they're actually going to go side by side down towards the lane. This can be a little bit interesting, and you know, whether they get themselves into their boxes or not. But Tim Doyle, his box is a bit early, so able to dive out of the way. So Constantini and Bradley Smith managed to get themselves in and down on towards the lane. Now, looking at Tim Doyle versus Bradley Smith off of the lane, they were so close getting into their boxes. Here comes Tim Doyle, here comes Smith, and Tim Doyle's going to beat Smith off of the lane here. So your new race leader will be Tim Doyle.
Yeah, great pit stop there. Great strategy as well by Tim Doyle, just able to jump Bradley Smith in the pit stop, something we don't usually see often in cautions. But he's managed to do it. Michele Constantini has managed to come out in third, with Ricky Gerhardt in fourth, but Ricky has a car ahead of him, and that is the car of Henry Bennett. So Henry Bennett has actually jumped 2 positions to get himself up into fourth on that pit stop.
Yeah, currently 5th out there on circuit, but that's because we do have that car that's actually still out there, and on the timing just cycles its way through next time we come across the line. So currently Tim Doyle, then it's going to be Bradley Smith, Michele Constantini, Liam Quinn, Henry Bennett is going to be your top 5. You've got Ricky Gerhardt there, P6, Alessandro Dalladoni, P7, Timo Ronco, P8, Dominic Lukumski, P number 9, and P number 10 will be Ryan Thompson. So cars will be single file right now. I think the lights will go out the next time they come across the line. You see Marco Brazil there. He's going to get himself the lap back, which is good for him, but he's still around going to be about 4 laps down once he joins the back of the pack. So pace car lights are going to be off. Brazil will manage to get himself off and away and join the back of the field. Let's see how he fares on those 30-lap old tires, but let's hope he gets started fine once he makes his way through the field. But now we've got 1 to go.
Yeah, 1 more till we go green, and Marco Brazil, he's obviously a long way down, so he's not going to be a factor in this race or for the next 67 odd laps. 67 laps remaining here at Auto Club Speedway, and we've had 34 laps so far of very high intensive racing. Nothing has been boring so far. We've always been interested in up at the commentary booth. So hopefully we're going to get this will be the last caution we see. Touch wood, and we get ready to go back racing. Tim Doyle is going to be leading your pack round, and he's a driver we see oh so often at the front of these IndyCar fields, leading the way and putting on an awesome job.
We'll have 66 laps to go when we get this one green, so 1 scheduled stop. Some drivers will try to split that 50-50, 33 laps either way. Some will try to go for the undercut, some will go for an extended first stint. That's the fun of the strategies here in the IndyCar, here in these IR18s, as we're just moments away now from the green flag, so take it away, Jack.
Yeah, coming around to the green flag, it's going to be Tim Doyle as well. Actually, he's going to be looking high. That's an unusual line. Everyone's then going to follow him, so he's obviously trying to get a little bit of a sing shot from the banking as we come around to the green once again. So pace car cutting down onto the pit lane. Tim Doyle is going to stack up the pack, and off he goes. We are racing again here at Auto Club Speedway. Bradley Smith going to be looking to try and get past and get back that lead. Michele Constantini had a bit of a sluggish restart, but Bradley Smith is going to be looking high into 1 and 2. Tim Doyle has got that favourable low line, and Bradley Smith, yes, he is going to try, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it to work. He's looking low. There is a gap, and he is going to be able to get it done. Bradley Smith moves himself back up into the lead. Tim Doyle is going to drop into second, but here comes your number 4 machine, Michele Constantini, but there's no gap for him to go through. There was one in the middle, but it was slowly closing. Bradley Smith is going to take advantage of Tim Doyle on that. A great restart and get back into the lead as Tim Doyle looks to be going low, coming off of turn number 4 to cross the line to start lap number 36, and he's actually going to regain the lead. So on our charts, no lead change, but Bradley Smith was in the lead for a few corners there, Connor.
Yep, he was. He timed that restart to perfection. Tim Doyle didn't really get a jump, but Bradley Smith was hot on his heels, so he was able to make it close coming down towards turn number 1. We potentially might see 3 wide here coming down in towards turn number 3. Constantini's going to be boxed in a little bit here. Bradley Smith down towards the inside, challenging for the race lead once again. Let's hope he gets the lead lap logged this time as Doyle looking for the line off the corner. We'll get the momentum off the corner. We'll look towards the inside. Who's going to lead this lap? I think it's going to be Doyle across the line, so Bradley Smith once once again denied the leading lap there as Doyle makes it back through his inside there in towards turn number 1. You've got Constantini, Bennett, Quinn also in this current 5-car front train. You've got Gerhard Ronco as well, just deciding to scrap it out behind. But here we go, challenge for the race lead once again. Bradley Davis to the inside. Are we going to get deja vu off of turn number 4 right now with Doyle heading his way back down the inside? It looks to be the case. It's not defended there from Smith. Constantini looking for a gap every which way here. Could go ultra high, could go down the middle. Decides to keep towards that ultra high line. Henry Bennett will look his way down towards the inside, but to no avail. And Constantini looking very, very aggressive here off of turn number 2. Just going to sit in the slipstream of the 2 cars ahead of him. Look towards the inside. Darts towards the inside, though, is Bradley Smith. These guys are going to go side by side every corner, so maybe we should put a little bit less hype in this.
Yeah, they're putting on a good show for you all at home. Henry Bennett as well. That caution has done him a lot of favours. He's managed to get up towards the front of this field as Tim Doyle once again looks down low and gets the position move done. Not sure why Michele Constantini is hanging out high, because that line is not working. It hasn't worked for anyone all day. Why would it work for him now? So I think he needs to be following Bradley Smith's footstep. But one criticism I will give for Bradley Smith is on that first lap he knew that Tim Doyle went for low and got the run. Why was he keep letting that gap open? If he'd have covered that inside line, it would force Tim Doyle high. Here we go. I think we might see it again. There you go. He's just leaving that low line open, which is the favourable line, and that's what's losing him the lap, the lead every single time. If he covers that low line, he will be able to hold the lead.
Yeah, so let's see if in the next couple of laps we'll see a change of strategy for the driver of the number 10, as currently him and Tim Doyle kind of breaking away from the rest of the pack right now are your leading pair. But towards the inside again, we always see this once again for about the 5th time in the row. I think we will see it, as now he's gonna not quite defending inside. He's just parking it in the middle of the straight, in the middle of the front straight, and just allowing Tim Doyle to get back past him. It could be a strategy to try and get those slingshot moves going, to try and break themselves away from Bennett, Constantini, and Quinn. But right now, it isn't really working. Those cars in behind firmly within the draft.
It just looks as though maybe it's a little bit of strategy. Maybe it means that he can save some fuel in the draft. And I wonder whether Tim Doyle and Bradley Smith are actually working together on this one to try and save each other a bit of fuel. It does look that way, because it looks as though they might be letting each other pass. Obviously, we can't tell from up here in the booth. Henry Bennett has managed to get his way back up onto the podium past Michele Constantini. And Liam Quinn as well has managed to get his way past Constantini. Constantini's going to be looking low into 1 and 2. And he's going to get the move done. It's going to be a little bit closer than you probably want off of 2, but Liam Quinn and Michele Constantini are going to stay side by side into 3 and 4. But Bradley Smith again looking down onto the inside of Tim Doyle. But Tim Doyle, he's already looking down low, and he's going to get that back up for Bradley Smith. So these two, they're changing places every corner, and I think it might be a strategic move by these two.
It could well be, but things will be a little bit closer coming down in towards turn number 1. But Doyle, very, very quick on that inside there, will take the race lead back down in towards turn number 1. But, you know, you could say, like we've said, they could be working together to try and break away, but they're not really doing it, because Henry Bennett is still there, still looking pretty threatening, especially if he gets the double toe coming down these straights. So you have to consider at some point, if you're Bradley Smith or Tim Doyle, if this is actually working, and if there's any point in doing this lap after lap after lap, if it's not really getting you anywhere.
Well, we'll obviously have to wait and see. These two are still holding the lead. Henry Bennett at the moment hasn't been able to put in a challenge. As soon as Henry Bennett manages to put in a challenge, I think these two guys are going to change what strategy they're on at the moment. They're going to start doing something a little bit more aggressive. But Henry Bennett has got Liam Quinn behind him in the number 3 purple machine to worry about. And he's going to cover that low line, and that is sensible there by Henry. He obviously knows where the fast line is here at Fontana, and he's using that to his advantage, as once again the lead will change crossing the line for the 44th time.
To ask you a technical question here, Jack, you know more about these cars than I do. You commentate IndyCar a lot more than I do. Are these leaders kind of sacrificing their tyre wear by taking these shallower entries into the corners? The guys behind are able to run these big, wide, sweeping arcs that are very, very friendly to the tyres, but these guys are going deep into the corners on entry that could, you know, obliterate the front right.
I'd probably agree with you, actually. Obviously, Fontana is not the smoothest of surfaces in the world, as Liam Quinn looks like he's going to try and get the jump around the outside of Henry Bennett, but if they're running these low lines and they're having to take a little bit more turning into these corners, it's going to wear out those front fronts a little bit more, meaning that the grip may tail off a little bit more off the end or towards the end of a stint. And when the tyres start going in IndyCar, they do go fast, as Liam Quinn once again gets his way past Henry Bennett to get up into third position. And obviously we see this in all the IndyCar series that we commentate, or that we cover here on Racebot TV. And do not forget, the month of May might still be 3 days away, but we have 2 IndyCar broadcasts for you this weekend. Obviously the first one is, well, we're commentating on it at the moment, and the second one is Sunday evening. We'll be going over to Kansas Speedway and going back in time for the Classic IndyCar Series. We've got a 300-mile race going on there. Going to be very exciting. Myself and Will Vincent will be bringing you that one. But we see it here and we see it in the Classic IndyCar Series. The tyre wear is a big factor, and it is definitely interesting to watch.
Yeah, it is, as currently it looks like it's going to be a 4-car train very shortly for your race lead, because Bradley Smith has dropped back off your race leader of Tim Doyle just a little bit. Will close up coming down in towards turn number 1, of course, as a result of the slipstream. As Quinn behind, looking for an alternate line, trying to run that quite high, coming through turn number 1 and 2. I don't think it's benefited him that much. We've seen drivers struggle with the high line all day, and it doesn't seem like that high line's going to come in anytime soon. We'll see, though, coming into the last stages of this race, but we're going to hit the halfway point here in just a couple of laps. Round number 7 here at Fontana Auto Club Speedway. Current leader Tim Doyle, followed by Bradley Smith, followed by Liam Quinn. Henry Bennett, Constantini takes things down to P5, as that's going to change just as I'm speaking about it. Henry Bennett gets himself past Liam Quinn. But looking further behind, though, you've got Ronco P number 6, you've got Gerhardt, Dalladoni, Ryan Thompson, Dominic Lukumski. You've also got Marco Brazil 4 laps down. You've got 3 retirements from this race. You've got Pierre Baudon 16 laps down. George Newjox and Vic Cordell will also not be coming off of that lane anytime soon.
Vic Cordell was a driver we saw so strong up at the front of the start of this race, so it's a bit annoying to see him gone already so far. Liam Quinn as well, looking like he's going to be able to get his way past Henry Bennett for third position. These two as well, they're going to be swapping positions, maybe trying to get a little bit of fuel saving in here as well. But the Tim Doyle, Bradley Smith, let's have a swapping positions every 2 corners match has now ended. Tim Doyle looks like he's going to be comfortably in the lead. Michele Constantini as well has dropped off at the back of this top 4. He's still within a second of Henry Bennett, but he was not as close as he once was. Timmy Ronco as well, he's made his way up the field and might be able to challenge Michele Constantini as well for P number 5.
Ronco is actually the fastest car out there on circuit that last time by, with a 32.3 compared to your leaders' times around about 32.5s. So that's a couple of tenths of a second heading the way of Ronco, but he does have an obstacle in the way right now of Michele Constantini. Was running in that front pack, of course, but has dropped back. Here comes Ronco off of turn number 4. Will be able to challenge heading their way across the line. So let's just hope the Finnish driver can perhaps hold that outside line, try and get the run off of the corner, off of turn number 2 to try and complete this pass over Constantini. They'll still head side by side off of turn number 2, but it seems like Ronco's car is the one that has the performance right now, as they got very, very close heading their way down the back straight. But Constantini's still going to try and go for that inside. There was a gap there, but that was a gap that was always going to be closing. Ronco did get a little bit scared about that one, but Constantini wasn't able to commit, as he's going to have a look here coming down in towards turn number 1 around the outside. But that outside really hasn't really been working, especially people on older tyres and more worn tyres. You can see Constantini just drops back in the middle of the corner, and he can make it all like a front wing alongside the Finnish driver.
He's just not been able to get the move done. It was extremely close to 3 and 4 last time. The door was always closing there on Michele Constantini. He couldn't really do much about it. Timu Ronco as well is doing a great job of defending off Michele. Michele is one of the greats in IndyCar. Looking like he got a little bit loose. He is the one that had the wobble earlier, and he's having another wobble now. A little bit of a battle ahead between Liam Quinn and Henry Bennett. They're going to be going side by side through turn number 1 and 2, as in fact Timu Ronco, yes, Ronco is going to be coming back on Michele. Michele's got nothing to answer. That car, I don't think he's very comfortable. We usually see him up in the top 3, Connery, and he's down towards the rear of your top 10 now. He's running middle of the top 10, and he's not going to be wanting to sit there. He's moving up higher, forcing Ronco up higher, and Ronco is going to try and run that high line. That low line we saw work for Tim Doyle for so many times earlier on in this race, but it's not working for Constantini. Ronco is still alongside him.
They are. They will remain side by side through turns 1 and 2. Constantini will hold P at number 5 for now, but Ronco is looking so aggressive at this stage in the stint. We've still got what will be around about 12-13 laps to go before we start seeing drivers on the 50-50 split strategy for the rest of this race start to trickle their way down on towards the lane. But a little bit more of a weave there from Constantini heading their way down the pit straight. We'll still try to fight with Ronco, but is he fighting a lost cause here? That's the question you have to be asking. As Ronco will hold that inside line relatively okay, but battling ahead, Henry Bennett versus Liam Quinn. This is a battle that's been going on for quite a while as well. Bennett will try to go for the inside through turn number 3. Let's see if Quinn can hold that outside in the sort of second and a half lane up to the third lane, try and get the track exit. It's actually Henry Bennett very slow off of turn 4.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like he got the run he needed. Liam Quinn as well. Bennett's going to slot in behind Quinn into 1 and 2 for the 57th time. Bennett just looking like that car got a little bit loose. These tyres are now nearly 25 laps on, Connery, so we are coming towards the end of the second stint of this race. We're in the second half of it now. We're going to be looking towards those second stops. Everyone's going to be getting ready for that final run into the checker, and it just looks as though Henry Bennett, that car is a little bit loose. Liam Quinn has got a big run off him coming through 3 and 4 this time, and Bennett has got nothing to answer to it.
Yeah, and a lap or so ago when we saw Bennett come very slow off of turn number 4, I was actually thinking he was going to decide to head his way down on towards the lane, and I don't even think he can make it from here on the fuel if he decided to do so. So that was a weird situation there for Bennett, as both of these guys right now, they are losing a bit of time to your race leaders on the order of a couple of tenths of a second a lap. So Bennett really needs to try and get past Quinn here, and he will do so on the entry to turn number 3. Exit at turn number 4 is important though, because here comes the run back now for Liam Quinn as they'll go side by side across the line. So it's very hard to make a move complete here at Fontana, Jack, and that is the issue that most of your drivers are dealing with right now. You may be faster, in clear air with no other cars around you, but that draft lock is so strong in these cars. You can't even shake a driver that's slower than you off your tail.
Yeah, I mean, the draft lock, you need to be able to use it well. Henry Bennett as well, looking like he's gaining a little bit on Liam Quinn, but Liam Quinn going to be able to hold that position number 3. I just got a little bit fooled. I thought they'd all drop one position, but no, they have a back marker in front of Tim Doyle at the moment. That's your number 5 car of Marco Brazil. He's running 8 laps down now in this race, so he's definitely not having the race that he would have wanted, Connery. But it just looks as though Henry Bennett is going to be looking to use that high line a little bit more. The low line looks like it's getting rubbered in now. We're on the 60th lap of this race. We're 60% into the distance, and it just looks as though the track's then starting to get a little bit rubbered in. Maybe starting to lose a little bit of grip on that lower line.
Could well be. Bennett looking for those alternate lines, running second, third lane there, coming through turn number 3 and 4. As we do have a car on the lane. That's Aurelio Brazil, number 5 car. That was a couple of laps down, so he's going to try and get fresh tyres and fuel to the end. I think he can make it with about 39.5 laps to go. So not a problem at all for the number 5. He'll get his service done and get back out there on circuit. Just running those laps right now because there's not much you can do being 9 laps down. No,
you just gotta keep out there, see if you can grab up a couple of positions from other people's mistakes. So he's still in his pit box actually, so maybe getting a little bit of a damage repair to that number 5 machine. Sounds like he is ready to go though. Tim Doyle and Bradley Smith, that gap looks like it may have closed up a little bit. Currently sitting at around 6.5, 7 tenths at the moment. Liam Quinn and Henry Bennett, that battle is ongoing. And in fact, as I was talking about it, Henry Bennett managed to get his way past Liam Quinn, coming through 1 and 2 that time. Timmy Ronco is staying ahead of Michele Costantini now, and he is being left into the clutches of Ricky Gerhardt. And Alessandro Dalladone having a race on his own, just wanting to get to the end. Well, he's up to position number 8.
Yep, exactly. We didn't see him have those issues earlier on, but trying to get onto the back of the pack as they came to the green flag, but running okay, up from P number 14 up into P number 8 currently, net gain of 6 positions there for the Italian driver, but there's not really any cars around him to be all that concerned about. He's got Ryan Thompson behind him by a couple of seconds, but the next battle pack ahead is almost an entire back straightaway, and that's going to be the battle pack of the 12, the 4, and the 9. So Ronco, Constantini, Gerhardt. As we'll see, drivers down on towards the lane. That's the car spun. Bradley Smith, huge issues going down on towards the lane. He got his braking marker completely wrong there, as he did manage to get the car slowed down, but that's going to be major issues there for Bradley Smith. Lost a lot of time on entry.
That's a mistake you do not want to be making, especially on the final stop. He's now going to make up that time, Bradley Smith. He's going to be kicking himself for that, Connery. That is, as he comes to a stop in his pit box. The number 10 crew will get to work. He's straight up on the jacks, a new set of boots for that number 10 machine, and he'll be back down and away. Tim Doyle already passed and already gone. Bradley Smith only now setting off, leaving the 11s on his pit box, and away he goes to rejoin the race. Tim Doyle has now got a humongous lead, and I would actually say that Bradley Smith has maybe dropped himself down to 4th position, but we'll have to wait and see until after this second round of pit stops, as in fact that was extremely close between the car of Bradley Smith, and Ryan Thompson coming off of the lane. Bradley Smith was sitting on the low line, and I don't think Ryan Thompson was expecting him to be there.
Yep, we have the car of Liam Quinn on the lane right now. Henry Bennett decides to pit from what was the race lead now. So he'll get his service done for the end of the race. We'll see if anyone else decides to join these guys down on the lane. Ronco, Constantini, Gerhardt, Aladoni, and Ryan Thompson all decided to stay out that last time by. So your race leader right now is Thibaut Ronco with the pit stop cycle in full swing right now. We've still got Constantini and the Gerhardt battle to be concerned about. This will be very, very interesting if they decide to hit their way down on towards the lane at the same time. Ronco will stay out at least one more lap. So will Michele Constantini. Tim Doyle there, he has obviously come down on towards the lane as Ricky Gerhardt down on towards the lane now for him. So does the 13 of Ryan Thompson as well. Does anyone else join them? No, they are the only 2 visitors to pit lane this time.
Yeah, it just looks as though everyone's staggering themselves for these second round of pit stops. I think it's going to make it interesting because some drivers will be running lighter fuel loads towards the end or during the middle of this race, making the lap times maybe a slight bit quicker, and would help Michele Constantini, looking like he's going to be heading himself down onto the pit lane this time around. Timo Ronco and Alessandro Dalladone look like they're going to be staying out now, so the field is definitely being shuffled up and is a little bit difficult to keep a track of. Your cars again now going to be moving to a 9 and 13. They're going to be back out. Ricky Gerhardt and Ryan Thompson, they're going to be exiting the pit lane. Michele Constantini is going to be your only pit visitor other than your number 14 machine of Dominic Lukomsky, a driver we haven't really talked about so far today, Connery. He's been keeping himself quiet down towards the rear of this field now.
Yeah, there's battle out there on track though. Bradley Smith versus Liam Quinn versus Henry Bennett. All of these cars have decided to head their way down towards the lane earlier on, so this is all on fresher tyres, all on the heavier fuel load. Side by side between Quinn and Smith, though, down towards turn number 1. Of course, Bradley Smith had that bit of a half spin coming down towards the lane, which means he's been put back into the fire, into the battles right now, and he has to fight for position once again. And Liam Quinn towards the outside now, coming through turn number 3. Alessandro Dalladoni still stays out. We've had Timo Ronco join the rest of your drivers down on towards the lane. So it looks like once Ronco and Dalladone have got themselves down on towards the lane, it'll be Tim Doyle leading the race once that is all sorted, as Quinn and Smith still side by side through turn number 1, but this squabble still definitely not sorted right now, especially when you consider you've got Henry Bennett to be concerned about on that inside line as well, trying to challenge Quinn towards 3, and Quinn, he's got an issue ahead, he's got an issue behind as well.
Yeah, I think Quinn is just being locked into a bit of a situation here. Do any of these drivers head down to the pit lane this time? No, they do not. They're going to stay out for one more, running a much longer stint as we start the 70th lap of this race now, 30 laps remaining. And it just looks as though Quinn is going to try and get his way around Bradley Smith on the high line. Henry Bennett as well, he's just going to be waiting and seeing what happens, but Bradley Smith is going to be able to defend it on the low through 1 and 2. But these guys have definitely got to be careful now because the tyres are starting to get extremely old. In fact, I believe, actually, I stand corrected, look at my timing screen, they've already been down onto the pit lane. Of course they have. Alessandro Dalladoni is the only car that hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, so Dalladoni going for this super long sort of strategy late on in this race to see how well that works out for him. Once he comes down on towards the lane, he'll of course have fresher tyres than the entirety of this field, so making overtakes will be a little bit easier for Alessandro late on in the race, and that's going to help him on that outside line, especially with the grip that doesn't seem to be up there right now. But this pack between Quinn, Smith and Bennett, that's still going on right now. Quinn still desperately trying to search for grip up high, but it just hasn't been working throughout this race, and I don't think it's going to work for the rest of this race unless there's a significant tyre difference between the cars.
Yeah, I think the tyres are going to be a big factor towards the end of this race. Having some slightly newer tyres could mean a lot in the final few laps. In the closing stages of this race as well, car down low exiting the pit lane. There's going to be the car, the number 5 car of Marco Brazil. He's going to be making another pit stop now, looking like he wants to rejoin the track when he's got a clear moment. Back towards this battle though, they're going to be going too wide down into 3 and 4 for the 72nd time. Bradley Smith, in fact Henry Bennett now, he's going to be looking down onto the inside of Liam Quinn. Liam Quinn just cannot answer him at the moment, cannot do much about it.
No, he can't, as we'll finally get everyone done in terms of their pit stop, so Tim Doyle will take the race lead right now, but by what looks to be around about 3.2 seconds back to the second place driver currently of Bradley Smith. But the thing is, this is ever changing, ever evolving with how much this second pack is fighting between themselves. But Bradley Smith looking for that breakaway now as Quinn and Bennett do start to squabble behind them. But the thing is, that draft lock is going to be oh so strong. Look at Quinn, he's going to have such an overspeed here coming down in towards turn number 1 over Smith, but it looks like still not able to make that pass. So I don't think this high line is going to win really at any point, Jack. It's just not there, which is quite unfortunate. Maybe if we had a little bit more cars, maybe that bottom line would be rubbered in and heated up a little more. But with the way things are right now, it just doesn't seem like you can get any momentum on that outside unless you duck out early, coming out of the corner, as Liam Quinn has done here trying to get the run.
Yeah, it just looks as though the lower line, again, there's only 10 cars left out running on this track. And if the lower line was a lot more rubbered in, the high line would maybe be a lot more favourable. You've just seen it there. Bradley Smith has got a big jump in there coming off of turn number 2. And Quinn just cannot answer it on the high line. And he's going to be looking high. And I think he should have darted down low there going into number 3. Because then he would have been able to get the run on Smith. And Smith is going to hold that low line. And there you go. He's just going to pull away. That low line is definitely favourable here today.
Important thing to note, though, they are catching a race leader at this stage. 2.4 seconds is going to be the gap next time they head their way across the line. So 32.8 by Tim Doyle, 32.5 for your second pack. All of your drivers in the second pack, in fact. So they could potentially start to work together here, but they need to be a little bit more organized than this if they're going to catch the race leader in any sort of fashion. So we'll see what happens here. We're going to have about 24 laps to go the next time they head their way across the line. Bennett around the outside of Quinn will get that pass done relatively simply there, as Quinn is still going to stay on that ultra low line, but the thing is, he's just going to have to back out of that one. Let Henry Bennett get himself through. Yet more time came out to your leader. Time down to around about 2.2, 2.3 seconds now to your race leader. So these guys just have to work together at this point if any of them want any chance of this race win.
I think they all need to work together and work as a group to try and get back up towards Tim Doyle. Tim Doyle has got a big lead out at the front, and he's running that low line to his advantage. His lead at the moment is 2 seconds over Bradley Smith, and that's, I think, the time he lost in the pit lane. And in fact, Henry Bennett is going to be looking high into 1, should have gone low again. That high line does not work. And Bradley Smith is going to be able to defend that just by driving his line. It's not something we see very often in IndyCars, but it's something that's showing here today. And actually, as I say that, Henry Bennett has got a jump on him into 3 and 4 down that back straight, and just looks like he's got the better run off of turn number 2. But Bradley Smith, he's going to head right down to the bottom of the track, and he's just going to keep that position.
The thing is, we say this, that Henry Bennett can't get the move done on Bradley Smith, and he's going to try around the outside once again. The race leader is hemorrhaging time still, 2.5 tenths of a second, taking out the last time by. So is this Tim Doyle just kind of managing the gap at this stage, just thinking, okay, I can afford to save a little bit of fuel here if I need to save fuel, and not be too concerned about the drivers behind, and then kick it back into high gear if I come under threat? Or is this just Doyle's tyres starting to go away even though he's running in clean air?
I'm not sure. His tyres are only 16 laps old, and they aren't actually any older than Bradley Smith's. They are one of the oldest, and some of the oldest out on the circuit at the moment. Henry Bennett is on much younger tyres compared to laps younger, so they're going to have a little bit more tyre life into them, and Henry Bennett will be able to get a little more grip through these corners. But Tim Doyle, the gap's down to 1.6 seconds. I wonder whether he's just trying to save a little bit of fuel, because he maybe put a little bit less fuel into that car in that last pit stop. But you don't know. You never know what's going on in a driver's brain, and you definitely cannot tell from commentators. That's one of the hardest things to do as a commentator, is try and understand what the driver is doing. As Henry Bennett is trying to eye up another move of Bradley Smith, he's going to look high on that number 10 machine coming across the line to start lap number 81. And it just looks as though maybe he might have the slingshot done. Bradley Smith actually is not going to go right down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to sit about midway up, which gives Henry Bennett the advantage.
Yeah, Henry Bennett finally managing to find something on that outside line, but I think it was more due to a slight error there from Bradley Smith in the middle of the corner, just not able to get the speed down enough to be able to hog that white line all the way around the corner. So Henry Bennett now, P number 2, looking to try to chase down your race leader. What's the gap going to be this time as they head their way across the line? It's going to be back up to around about 1.7 seconds, but when you consider that was about 3.5 seconds just a couple of laps ago, that is a bit concerning for Doyle, as Smith will try to pass back Bennett on the inside here through turn number 1 and 2, but not actually going to work for him, surprisingly enough. So maybe the high line is starting to come in now.
Yeah, maybe it is. It's obviously quite late on in the race, with just 18 laps to go now. Bradley Smith gets his way past Henry Bennett on the inside once again. So the inside line isn't bowing out just yet. Tim Doyle has managed to get the back gap out. English. Managed to get the gap out to 1.7 seconds, but these guys are now fighting heavy because Liam Quinn wants to get involved in this one, so we're going to have a three-way battle for P2, but Quinn is just going to be stuck behind these guys. There's no room to go three wide into turn number 1 and 2, and he's too far to try and put a move up the inside of Henry Bennett. It's just not going to work.
Shout out to Jack Racing, they're currently watching us from somewhere on a bus, somewhere in the world. That's the dedication that some sim racing fans have to supporting these sorts of broadcasters. These guys will slice and dice coming off of turn number 4. Henry Bennett, again, around the outside, required for for himself to get back past Bradley Smith here. Gap is still coming down to a race lead. That is the important thing to note. In a couple of laps now, and around about, I'd say about 5 or 6 laps or so, if they run the pace they're running right now, they will be well within drafting range of your race leader. So, you know, this may seem like just a battle for P2 for now, but it could very quickly become a battle for the race win.
Yeah, it could. And Tim Doyle just not looking like he's got the pace that he had earlier on in this race. Henry Bennett as well. Looking up high once again on Bradley Smith. He's definitely trying to get that high groove to work. Just cannot get it to work so far. Bradley Smith is going to be heading down low and keeping it down low and keeping it nice and steady. But Tim Doyle, that gap down to 1.45 seconds now from himself to Bradley Smith. And if Bradley gets any more, he's going to be back in draft range. And Tim Doyle, that gap is going to come down a lot quicker than it has been. And he is going to be scared. We've got 15 laps remaining now, so not long left in this race. And in time-wise, it's only going to be about 8 minutes. But Bradley Smith could definitely be a good contender for the win, along with Henry Bennett, who once again is trying that high groove.
Gap down to 1.2 seconds to your race leader, so Doyle has to start being a little bit concerned right now, I would say, as Smith so deep into turn number 1 and 2 will slam the safer barrier on the outside there. This will just allow Henry Bennett to try to get away and try to set in his sights back on your race lead, but that was another error in judgment from Smith into turn number 1 and 2. Didn't lift out quite enough on entry to try and not hit the wall coming off on exit. And I think once he saw that car drifting up into the wall, I think he was just a passenger at that point.
Looks like there might be a little bit of damage to his car, but not enough to severely affect it, I would say. So Bradley Smith, he's dropping back down the field. That leaves Henry Bennett to close the gap to Tim Doyle, who isn't too far up the road, only 1.1 seconds. So Henry Bennett, and we know he is fast, so he has clearly saved himself for the end of this race. We thought earlier on in this broadcast he was out and down and out for the count, but he is back and he is going to be challenging Tim Doyle for that win, and I would expect that lead to change before the end of this race.
Gap down within a second, down within 0.8 of a second, down within 0.7, almost down within 0.6 of a second. That's how much time Tim Doyle is losing right now. And if he is fuel saving, if he is having fuel issues, that could be huge. But the thing is, in that cycle of pit stops, he was actually the car that stopped the longest on the lane for a normal service. So he should have taken pretty much a full tank there with 10.7 seconds on the lane, whereas everyone else had about 8.6 seconds, 8.9 seconds, 9 seconds. Tim Doyle spent a whole extra second on the lane and is still going slow at this stage. So maybe he's overfueled the car maybe a little bit. Maybe the other guy is just underfueled to try and get the pace out of the car late on.
Could also be the tyres. The tyres could be reaching the end of their life. They've only done 25.5 laps with Tim Doyle so far, and there's still probably another 10-12 laps left in those tyres, but they are going to be shot to pieces by the end of this run, and the end of this run is going to be the checkered flag, as you can actually see the speed difference off the corner that Henry Bennett has over Tim Doyle, and Bennett as well. He's going to be looking. Is he going to try and look high or look low into 1 and 2, try and regain that lead of Tim Doyle?
that car of Henry Bennett looking so quick compared to your race leader. Now Tim Doyle, he's one of the most experienced drivers in this IndyCar series. Of course, everyone's new to the IR18, but in terms of the DW12 and the IR05, Tim Doyle is one of the experts. But the thing is, there's nothing he can do when Henry Bennett gets a run like that around the outside of turn number 3 and 4. Henry Bennett, driver of the number 1, will be your new race leader. Can Tim Doyle reply within 10 laps? Can Liam Quinn get himself further up the podium here? He's within drafting distance of your leading pair, so now we have a 3-car scrap for your race win if Tim Doyle doesn't drop off the back.
Tim Doyle, all he needs to do is be able to, he can still keep a podium. Michele Constantini is quite a way behind, and he's under pressure from Team Ronco, so he's got his own worries. He's got enough to worry about as it is. So Tim Doyle, all he has to do is stay in this pack, and he has himself a podium. He has just 9 more laps to survive here, so not too long remaining in this race now. In retrospect, and Henry Bennett, he's done an awesome job to get himself back up into the lead from the start, as Michele Constantini and Timmy Ronco are actually swapping positions through 1 and 2.
Yep, they are, and these guys aren't too far off your leading trio either, so they could play a factor if something untoward happens at the front of the field. So Ronco will hold the inside line from Michele Constantini. Constantini will have to drop back into P number 5, so put Ronco, the Finnish driver, up into P number 4 as they head their way across the line right now. That will be scored P number 4 for Ronco, but Constantini battling back on the outside line through 1 and 2. So let's see if the Vortex driver can hold that. Many have tried, many have failed. Only few have completed passes around the outside there. Constantini still make it side-by-side down the back straight, side-by-side behind as well, Gerhardt and Bradley Smith, as I thought I briefly saw a car off towards the infield there on the back straight, but I think my eyes were deceiving me there, as Constantini and Ronco, they're still looking to battle.
Yeah, they're going to be taking it all the way to the finish with this battle. Constantini's going to be looking high up into 1 and 2. Ronco covering that low line, that's where he needs to be, because Constantini hasn't been able to get that high line to work all day. And there you go, that just shows how much of an overspeed the low line has when it works for you. Ronco has managed to get a nice gap over Michele now, and also must be noted that the cars number 1, 2 and 3 are running positions 1, 2 and 3. Henry Bennett leading Tim Doyle and Liam Quinn. That is your current podium with 6 laps to go here at Fontana. And Team Ronco, I don't think he's got enough time to be able to catch up to those guys and challenge for one of those podium positions.
Yeah, at this point you have to question if Tim Doyle has anything left in those tyres, anything left in that car to try and challenge and take back that race lead that was taken around the outside at 3 and 4 just a couple of laps ago. Quinn hasn't, well, he's been looking at strong at some points during this race, but right now doesn't look like he can lock onto the back of your leading pair at this stage. We'll have 5 laps to go next time we head our way across the line, so that is going to be right about now. So Doyle, he's not dropping off the back here, so that is something that he can work with. His tyre wear isn't bad enough, or the performance of his car isn't bad enough that he drops out of drafting range of Bennett, and so that's kind of just all he needs to be in there now. He needs to just have the chance if Bennett makes a mistake.
If Bennett makes a mistake, Tim Doyle has got an awesome chance to get himself back up into the lead, as you just said. And I think Liam Quinn as well is just waiting to see if the 2 drivers ahead of him make a mistake. Timmy Ronco, he's pulled even more of a gap over Michele Constantini. Constantini, I think, is struggling with tyres. In fact, actually, Ronco's got tyres which are older than Constantini. The oldest tyres out on the field, I would actually say, are up at the front of your field. Henry Bennett, Tim Doyle and Liam Quinn. These guys were the first guys to bring it down into the lane, so their strategy has clearly worked, Connery. And it's working over the rest of the drive, with Michele Constantini's down 2 positions on where he started. Tim Doyle as well, he is going to be your biggest driven shaker along with Ricky Gerhardt in this race. Both are going to be up 7 positions on where they started.
Yes, they are. 3 laps to go as they head their way across the stripe. Now there's a little bit of that traffic to be dealing with ahead. That's Dominik Lukomski. That could be an issue in the final couple of laps here for your race leaders. Let's hope he gets himself well out of the way. In fact, he's doing it right about now. Just down towards the inside of the back straight. Just let your leading 3 make their way by. So this still isn't over for the race lead. Tim Doyle, what can he pull out of the bag like the proverbial magician that he is sometimes in these IndyCars? What can Liam Quinn do from P number 3? 2 laps to go now, and it's still anyone's game for the top 3.
Also, don't forget, Tim Doyle holds the fastest lap in the race. Actually, he's going to go for the lead. He's going to go down low. Henry Bennett looks like he didn't get the run he needed off 3 and 4. And Tim Doyle is going to be running out on that low line. Henry Bennett as well, getting up high and almost into the wall in turn number 2. But he's going to try and counteract that, and he's going to try and get himself back into the lead. They're going to be taking the white flag next time round, Connery, and this is going to be an exciting finish for this race.
This is going to be it. It's all come down to the wire. White flag will be in the air this time by. Checkered flag will end it next time by. Bennett towards the outside now to try and take back the race lead that was stolen just a couple of moments ago. Tim Doyle, he's found another gear in these final couple of laps. Does hold on to the race lead. Only 2 corners to go now, and Bennett needs a huge run, and I mean a huge run, coming through 3 and 4 if he wants a chance at this race win. Decides to go high, decides to commit to the outside line. Henry Bennett, can he do it? Can the British driver do it around the outside? The answer is going to be no, at least for now. It's going to be a drag race to the line, but Tim Doyle is going to hold on for the checkered flag. Tim Doyle, your race leader, race winner from P number 9.
Awesome finish there by those guys. Henry Bennett had nothing to answer to Tim Doyle, and as you said, he just pulled out of the magic. He pulled the rabbit out of the magic's hat, so to say, and he just got that win in fantastic fashion. Liam Quinn as well, well-deserved podium for him, finishing 3rd. And for everyone else on the field, that's an awesome finish. 10 cars finished that race. We had 4 retirements from this 100-lap race, 322 kilometres, and not one of them was boring. That was exciting racing from these guys, as we always expect from this series.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic finish between your 2 leaders, P number 1, Tim Doyle, P number 2, Henry Bennett. I thought Tim Doyle was down and out when you saw him drop back into the clutches of Henry Bennett, and in fact Henry Bennett did get the race lead for a couple of laps near the end there, but Tim Doyle managing to find something in that car to drag himself back past Tim Doyle. Bennett did have a brief run coming through 3 and 4, but wasn't able to carry it to the exit to make it side by side to the line. But wow, that was a fantastic race. Round number 7 at Auto Club Speedway ends like this. Tim Doyle taking the checkered flag from P at number 9, your pole position sitter, after yo-yoing all the way back through the field, drags himself back up to P number 2. Liam Quinn not able to challenge your leading pair for the end there, just gains 1 position to finish on that final step of the podium. Timu Ronco, very good run through the field for the Finnish driver, finishes P number 4. Michele Constantini, championship points leader, gets himself P number 5. I think he was expecting a little bit more, especially with that 3rd in qualifying. You've got Ricky Gerhardt gaining 7 positions up into P number 6. You've got Alessandro Dalladone, who started at the back of the grid, gets himself P number 7 when all is said and done. Bradley Smith having issues late on in the race, and of course coming down onto the pit lane as well. Had a little bit of a half spin, good enough for P number 8, where it could have been so much more. Ryan Thompson, P number 9. Dominic Lukumski will finish 1 lap down, P number 10. And in terms of your retirements, that's going to be Marco Aurelio Brazil, P number 11, Pierre Bourdon, George Nujox, and Vic Cordell. Now, we've got to take a bit of a breather here after that fantastic finish. This is round number 7 from Fontana, from Auto Club Speedway. The post-race show will be next.
Team racing allows multiple iRacing members to team up and race together, just like in real-world endurance series. Teammates can share driving duties, spot for one another, or be a crew chief. Team racing is free, both to join a team and to create one. Each teammate races on his or her own computer from wherever they want to. Your teammates can be anywhere in the world, and changing drivers mid-race is as easy as a click of a button. iRacing features team endurance events ranging from just a couple of hours to 24 hours in length. So, if you fancy taking part in an iRacing endurance race in the future, you can learn more about team racing on the teams page on the member website.
Welcome back to the post-race show here on Respot TV, Friday primetime, streaming live on Respot TV, and of course, as always, on the iRacing YouTube channel on iRacing Live. I'm Connery Maddock. Joining me today was Jack Styles, but as I understand it, he's going to have to go relatively shortly, but this is the post-race show. This is where you bring drivers in for the interviews, and we do have a good selection to choose from, but I think we know who we're going to talk to first. That's going to be Tim Doyle, if we can get him inside the booth right now. Tim, wow, what a race for you. Qualified P number 9, ends up taking the checkered flag at the end. That last stint must have been absolutely heart-pounding for you.
That was definitely one of the most interesting races I've run. That was a lot of different things going on there. The first 2 runs, I thought I had my fuel mileage right, and nope. We came out that last run, and 10 laps in, I was telling Niles, I was like, I don't think that number's right. And then I had to save a lot, and it came down to the end with Henry. I didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah, it looked like, from our perspective, it might have been the tire starting to go away, but if it is a fuel issue, that's going to be an interesting one, because you were the car that was stationary for the longest time when it comes down towards the pit stalls. So maybe was that running in clear air a bit? You weren't able to save fuel as effectively as some of the other drivers that were able to short fuel a bit on that second stop?
Yeah, the first run I was behind Bradley there, and I was saving so much fuel lifting because my tires weren't as good. But then when we came out after the stop, I had clean air, and I didn't have to lift at all. So my fuel mileage went from 3 laps to the good to 2 laps negative. And I had the tires though on that last run. I had the tires, so when Henry caught me, it was a gamble: do I draft behind him to save? And if I do I have the tires to get back around him?
Yeah, because when we saw him absolutely blow past you initially on that outside line, we thought maybe Tim's going to drop off the back here. Maybe he's not going to be able to fight, but you proved us absolutely wrong. That was impressive stuff up there at the front, and it was a lot of work to do from P number 9 on the grid. Your qualifying didn't go so well starting mid-pack there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm never a good qualifier, but I was a 10th off my teammate, so I don't know. I thought I turned a great lap, but it was, put me P9. That was interesting, and the racing there, getting to the front was pretty intense on that first run. But once we got to the front, me and Bradley were able to break away, and that worked out really nice.
It did work out very, very nice. As next week we'll be heading to Vegas Motor Speedway, 133 lap event there. So, any thoughts on one of the cookie cutter ovals?
I'm not sure if we're going to make that event or not. I struggled to make this one. I had to kind of sneak out of work early to do this, but yeah, I'm not real sure. We'll have to see what we have in development on the car, and we'll definitely try to get there.
Yeah, and well, that was again. I keep saying it. There was an absolutely brilliant race there at the end. I thought once you came out with your second stop, you would end up just managing the gap at the front, but no, fuel issues dragged you back into the clutches of perhaps Bennett and Liam Quinn, but you did come out on top, so well done. That was your race winner, Tim Doyle. Is there anyone else you want to thank before we let you go, Tim?
Yeah, I want to thank Niles. He really built a really nice car for here. Hopefully we'll get done with this and go to Indy. I want to thank RaceSpot. I had that on my car this week. Thank you guys for broadcasting. Thank Fort Family Wines, Arizona Sports Shirts, Forum.net, Eldora Speedway. Like I say, and you guys broadcasting.
Well, we are very appreciative of the racing that you performed for us out there today. It did make for a very, very good broadcast. But Jack, I think we're gonna bring Henry Bennett in, your P number 2 finisher here in the commentary booth. If we can just do that one, but Henry Bennett, he's going to be with you, Jack.
Henry, sorry about that. First of all, congratulations on the second position. And I just want to ask you, first of all, at the start of the race, you dropped down quite a way. Why was that?
It was just really aggressive racing. I mean, I understand why people are aggressive at the start. You need to get to the front before the tyres start wearing out. But in a big pack like that at the start of the race, going 3 wide, I just wasn't prepared to take the risk. And the car's handling, I was still getting used to it because this set we only really developed in the last 24 hours. Yeah, that's why I dropped back. Luckily, we got a yellow, so I could get back to.
And obviously, towards the end of that race, we saw you fighting with Jim Doyle and Liam Quinn for the win. And that final couple of laps, did you ever think that Tim would manage to get his way past and actually get the win, or were you confident that you could hold him off?
We'd guessed that Tim had fuel issues because he's dropping back since the second stop. Yeah, I knew I was pretty confident that he'd have a go for the lead in the last few laps. But from battling with Bradley Niles a few laps before that, I knew that I could hold the outside. So I was relatively confident that if he did attack, I'd be able to maintain the lead. But the last corner of the last lap, I had pretty good speed on the outside, and I had a small mistake with the weight jacker. I had it at -3 when it should have been 0. So I ended up, and that means the car's going to push rather than steer nicely around the corner. So I got a load of push and I had to lift off, and that was my chance to lead of the win gone.
And obviously looking forward to the rest of the season. There's a few interesting tracks coming up, and obviously the month of May in the iRacing Indy 500. Are you going to be switching attention over to that, or are you still going to be sticking with these Friday primetime races?
I'll definitely stick with the Friday primetime races, especially the road courses. They seem to attract a big crowd. But yeah, we're putting a lot of work into Indy, and really looking forward to it.
Well, before I let you go and celebrate with your team, is there anyone you'd like to thank today?
My team, my IndyCar team, Powerslide, Absolute Zero, and especially John HD, who did most of the work on the setup. As usual, he's a genius, really, with setups.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, is your second place finisher today, Henry Bennett. Back over to you, Connery.
Yeah, it was quite an effort that Henry managed to put out there, but still, only 0.07 of a second separate himself and the race win. But we will manage to get ourselves a little bit of a chat here with Michele Constantini. Well, he finished P5 after starting P3. If we can get him into the commentary booth right now. Michele, there we go. P3 in qualifying, finished P5. That day was certainly very interesting for you. You did seem to be in the thick of things somewhat.
Yeah, qualifying was looking good. Then the first stint, I collected a bit of damage. I had a contact with Bradley, and he came up while we were free wide. So I had a bit of a front wing damage on the left side. So I had to keep the damage for the whole first stint. Then for the second stint, I don't know, the car felt tight all the stint, so I don't know what was going on there. Then in the last stint, while Henry, Liam and Bradley were battling, I was catching up, so the car was feeling good there, and then just Temu started battling, so I couldn't catch back up to the leading group. But yeah, not the result I wanted, but it's okay.
Well, you were the points leader heading into this race. I think you will retain that title for now, if I'm not mistaken. But things overall have been going pretty well for you this season. You've had, of course, the one race win this season. You've also had multiple top fives, especially in these strength of field races as well. So, season looking very, very good for you. So, the chances are decent now that you could be one of the challengers for the title come week 12.
Yeah, that's obviously the goal. I wasn't expecting it after the first race in New Hampshire. The pace was looking good there as well, but just stupid mistake on my part. And yeah, other than that, yeah, the win was not even in the broadcast. It was in a in a random race at New Hampshire. So just consistency was the key for this season, and just the top fives, as you said. Just in the strength of field races, just bring on a top 5, bring on good results, and try not to retire from the race, and just bring on some points. That's the goal every week, and obviously a win would be nice, obviously, but it's okay.
I mean, with the way you've been racing at some points in the season, maybe that will happen for you. We'll just have to see over the next couple of rounds. Speaking of, is there any circuit, later on in the season which you feel confident is going to be your first race win?
Certainly looking good for Indy Oval. I mean, it's pretty. Also, not only for prime time, but just for the 500 as well. Been doing a lot of testing, and even Indy Road. I like the track a lot. Then we have Watkins, one of my strongest track as well. So, end of the season just looking good for me. And yeah, Lime Rock is gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be fun to race there for sure. But yeah, looking good for the tracks. I like pretty much all of them. So just looking forward to bring on the results and maybe try and win a race.
Maybe, just maybe. And if you do like your race cars to, shall we say, fly over the top of hills, then join us for the Week 10 broadcast at Lime Rock Park, because that one will be one to watch, shall we say, is 14, 15 plus IndyCars try to negotiate what is a very, very tight and twisty circuit where sometimes, of course, you do get airborne. But Michele, we go through this spiel almost every time. You're always in our interview booth. So anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to Vortex, Logical Vortex Sim Racing, my team, obviously, for the continuous support they gave me, and all the drivers, obviously. I would like to thank you guys for the broadcast, our sponsors, JRT and Logical, and that's about it.
That will be so. Thank you for joining us there, Michele. As Jack, just to wrap things up right now, we saw coming into this race, we were watching the how this will split, and we were thinking, we have 27 drivers signed up for the race, so that means, it's going to be the smallest split that we could possibly have for a top split. But boy, were we wrong when it came to the racing here. We had some fantastic racing, even with, a handful of cars.
And I'm looking at the schedule for the rest of the season, and we've got 2 races at Indy, Las Vegas, Lime Rock, and Watkins Glen coming up. So the last 5 races of this series, they're going to be action-packed, and if all of them are like today, I think everyone is going to definitely want to tune in and watch, and it's going to be an interesting one to watch to see actually who takes this title, because there's so many drivers who are quick enough to do it, and they've all shown potential today, and I know one of them will take it, and I can't put a pin on who it's going to be, because this series is so unpredictable.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be an action-packed final couple of weeks here in the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. You've got Indy Road, Indy Oval, you've got Lime Rock Park with free track, which could shake things up there. We've got Watkins Glen as the season finale as well. But next week, we're going to take ourselves to the desert, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 133 laps, starting week of the 1st of May. And, oh wait, what was that? The month of May. Yes, month of May. Here in IndyCar on iRacing. You don't want to miss that. Goodbye.